Hello, what have we here? And welcome to another episode of the There Are More of Us show, where we celebrate creators spreading positivity and joy through their love of Star Wars. Today's guest is a friend of mine. You may know her as Queen or Senator Amidala, but I am going to bring on Alicia, aka The.Naboo.Senator, here today on the There Are More of Us show. There are more of us. Well, hello, Alicia. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to the There Are More of Us show.
Thanks for having me.
Oh,
Very
thanks for
excited.
coming on. Yeah.
Sorry about my lighting, by the way.
Your lighting's fine. I mean, I could probably use a light as, sunlight has left, but it's fine. We're good.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot darker, a lot faster. So
Yeah, I mean, we're in the similar parts of the world, so
yeah,
we're
it's
we're
like the
we're about
same.
to enter, like I don't know what, 14 hours of darkness every day. It's fine.
Yep, seasonal depression time.
Yep. None of us get vitamin D. It's fine.
No, it's okay.
So for those that don't know your many impressive Padme cosplays, what kind of content do you make?
I guess it's just I guess mostly cosplay content at this point. I think it's like I've kind of gone through a bit of a revamp, I guess, of
Mm-hmm.
my content. I used to do a lot of like 2000 or like 2021 TikTok. Like the videos were so different. Like
Yeah.
the kind of like POV, like acting out kind of videos, stuff like that. But now I post mostly just like content about my cosplays, I guess. But I'm not really on TikTok anymore, so it's
Yeah. I mean, Instagram is there for us, I guess.
TikTok was getting harsh. So I'm well. I still have my account. It's just private.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah.
might go back, I might not, but I kind of thought it was going to go away for a while anyways with all the US stuff. So I was like, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's still holding on until the Supreme Court of the United States says something about it, which I don't know, give it 8 months.
Yeah. I mean, I could still use it, but most of my, like, a lot of my friends are in the US. So it wouldn't really, I don't know. I don't know how much sense it would make to use it.
I mean,
So
yeah, that's
Instagram.
fair. Yeah, Instagram and Threads because people totally use that.
I haven't. Do you
Y-
use it?
I have not. I may have made one post in the last 6 months. I
Okay. I
think I
never
made.
even downloaded it.
Yeah, I think I downloaded it like within the first couple days, and then I used it for like a week or two, and then I just kind of forgot.
Mm. Yeah, I sometimes I see them and you know how they show the previews and then you have to like download threads to read the
Hmm.
rest? I almost fall for it sometimes. I'm like, no, no, we
That's how.
don't need this.
That's how I fell into TikTok trap back in 2020.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess cosplay content of varying kinds, but mostly just Star Wars. I did buy fabric for a Barbie costume today.
Yeah, you've been talking about that for a minute.
I'm I'm gonna do it. I bought the fabric today, so it's next. But
So,
um
so you're gonna have Padme's closet, then you're gonna have Barbie's closet, unless you're just only doing the one.
there's only a few Barbie ones that I want to do. Like,
Hmm.
okay, we're talking like early 2000s Barbie movies. Like I want like a few of those.
Okay.
So,
I know of those movies. I don't know those movies. So I saw the one you posted, I think earlier today. So
yeah.
besides that, yeah.
Princess and the Pauper was my Do you swear on your podcast?
Oh yeah, go for
Okay, it was my shit.
it.
I love I love that movie. I love that movie so much. I did a grade 12 project on that movie about Marxism and it hit hard, man.
See, I remember you remember those early 2000s like DVD trailers, come on something, and then it would like that's how you learned about everything back in the day.
Yeah.
We didn't have, social media to be like, "Oh yeah, this trailer is coming out." There was no YouTube at that point either.
It was
So,
the Coming Soon to You on VHS, man. I
yep,
remember
those
that.
those were the days. I remember like that's the only reason why I know that most Disney sequels or Disney movies had sequels, because after the first one, they went straight to VHS and DVD
Yep.
for you to pick
Yep.
up at your local Blockbuster.
Ah, Blockbuster. I
Hmm.
think we lived in the middle of nowhere for a Blockbuster, but we did have like a family video, like
Yeah, family
yeah,
videos.
yeah.
Good times.
It was great. Those were such like wholesome days, to be honest.
Yeah, before the dark times.
For the internet.
Uh, so what is your Star Wars story?
My Star Wars story is like kind of boring. It's not like super wholesome or anything. Um, Star Wars was always around. Like we had, speaking of VHS tapes, my dad has like all of them in our basement.
Hmm.
But I was kind of like he never pushed it on me about like that it was for boys, but like the kids at school kind of often were like, "Oh, Star Wars is for boys," kind of thing. So I always
Hmm.
associated it with that. Never really asked dad to watch it. So I was more like he raised me more on like Lord of the Rings. We did Harry
Hmm.
Potter. Um, but then a little later in life, I was like, I'm gonna watch Star Wars. I had like somebody that I was close to that was like, oh, like watch Star Wars with me, and I was like, okay, and I loved it. The OT we did, I was old enough that I feel like this makes a big difference, but I did the OT first and then the
Hmm.
prequels because he was like, "Oh, we're gonna watch the originals first," and then he was gonna put on the prequels, and he was like, "A lot of people really don't like these ones," and I was like, "Okay, like I'm sure they're fine." And then I watched them. I was like, "What the fuck? Those were the best thing I've ever seen."
Hmm.
And he said the same thing about the sequels, but it was before I saw the Rise of Skywalker in theaters,
Hmm.
um, and he didn't like the sequels very much, but I kind of like I liked them. And then we watched the Rise of Skywalker in theaters, and he was like, "Oh, that was garbage." I was like, "Oh, I kind of liked it. I thought it was okay." And then he like went on a rant about how it was so bad, and I'm driving home, and I'm like, "Oh, I mean, I liked that part, you know, like I thought it was
Hmm.
pretty good." So I mean, it's Star Wars.
Yeah, see, like I'm fine with people having your opinion, but you got to read the room, especially like fresh out the movie,
Fresh
you
out, I
know.
was like, "Oh, you really
Yeah.
didn't like that." And I'm sitting there and I'm like, "Wow, this is really wholesome," you know? Like, damn, I really didn't like them.
Yeah, so I saw each sequel trilogy movie with my family like on opening night at Disney.
Mhm. Oh, wow.
So well, the first Force Awakens, they did a huge celebration for it, and they didn't for the Last Jedi or the Rise of Skywalker, which I was like, that's kind of weird, but anyway. But I remember my oldest niece came with us to see the Rise of Skywalker, and she was a huge Kylo Ren girly, and so she was also a huge
As
Spider-Man
she should
girly.
be.
So you have to remember that in 2018, Spider-Man got turned to dust, so that was rough. And then Kylo Ren, and I'm just like, I
Oh,
can't voice
no.
my thoughts on this movie because my niece is in mourning, and so
She's
they had,
going through it.
yeah. So then we bought her a Kylo Ren lightsaber, and she
Oh.
felt better.
Lightsaber cures all.
It does, it does.
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
Yeah, and I remember the prequel. So I guess I was technically old enough to be on the internet, depending on who you ask. Not my parents, because they probably wouldn't have let me on the internet at that point. At least that part of the
Okay.
internet, if they could even conceptualize that. But the Force.net was a forum
Okay.
back in like the early. It still exists now. I have no idea what it looks like now, but it was like everything that you
Uh-huh.
can imagine that happens right now on TikTok and YouTube and Twitter with people's takes and the arguments. Force.net.
Okay.
So by the time I got to like all this in the sequels, regardless of my opinions on them, I'm like, this isn't new. We've been here before. And so I'll like tell my older brother about it. He's just like, I was a veteran of those forum wars. And I'm just like, it's time to bring you back. You've been re-enlisted.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Oh, and when Ahsoka was introduced, oh my God. It was pretty much Ray all over again, or Ray before.
Yeah, I've heard that, and, like, I watched the live action. Like I finished all the live actions before I found the Clone Wars, and
Mm-hmm.
like I think the Clone Wars, like it was on TV, like when I would get home from school, but I just didn't usually watch it. And now like the Clone Wars movie is like a comfort movie of mine. I think it's so goofy. Like I love it so much.
Yeah. So it came out a few days before my 14th birthday. So my parents took me to go see it like as like a birthday
A
thing to
birthday
do.
present.
Yeah, and I walked out, I was like, that was pretty corny. And I knew there was going to be a TV show coming out, and I think it came on after an NBA game. And so I watched it, and it was like the Yoda and the Clone Troopers arc that begins it. And then
Episode one is like skippable,
yeah, and then I
but
forgot about it. And then I
yeah.
see it on Cartoon Network, and I'm watching one of the episodes. I'm like, okay, I'm like, who is this Savage Opress guy? Why does he look like Maul? And then Mother tells us like, you have to go find your brother, Darth Maul. And I'm like, locked in, locked in. Let me go to the library and rent the first couple seasons on DVD.
No, I love like that show is so it gets better as you go through, like
Oh
for
yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
It gets stronger. But I can't believe that Ahsoka was so controversial. Like
Yeah, they called her a
as
Mary
someone who
Sue.
came into it later, like I love her.
Yeah, they called her a Mary Sue, and I was just like, for what? She's a Padawan. She's learning. She's like, I don't know what you expect here. And then
No,
they're like,
for
she's
real.
so annoying. I'm like, I mean, okay, if you're a
She's
grown
supposed to be a bit
adult,
annoying.
well, yeah, and I'm like, if
That's
you're a
the
grown
point.
adult, do you not find teenagers annoying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, that's the thing. She was like 14. I'm 14. I'm like, she acts like the people I go to school with. So like,
Yeah.
yeah,
She's funny because she annoys Anakin. That's her point. Like
and
at the
did
beginning.
right.
It's so good.
And Anakin annoyed Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan annoyed Qui-Gon.
It's
It's a
karma.
exactly. It's a passing of the torch. You become
Yeah.
the master, and you pass the torch on the annoying student onto your student.
Yes, exactly.
Ah, gotta love Star
So
Wars.
it's just so good. There's so much about it. And I like that it's just like it's such a big universe that you
Hmm.
can there's so much they could do with it. Not that they always do, but you know,
There's always hope.
there's always more that could be done with it.
Yeah, I mean, I have this much hope that the Lando movie is actually happening. Just this much. I just hold on to that little grain of hope.
Yeah.
We'll see
I
if it
mean,
happens.
I have a solo costume, so I'll hold on to that hope with you.
So what does Star Wars mean to you?
This is a hard question because it means a lot to me, and it means like in a way that I'm like maybe it shouldn't mean as much to me as it does. But I found a lot of um, community and comfort in, I guess, more the Star Wars community. I wouldn't necessarily say like just the show it's like or the shows and the movies itself.
Mm,
In fact, a lot of the time, like when there's new Star Wars coming out, I don't watch it right away because it's like emotionally draining for me to watch
mm,
new Star Wars because I'm so invested in the universe. So I'll like I don't I'm depending on the series, like okay, with the Ahsoka series, I was like, I better not see spoilers. I'm gonna lose it. And like I
mm.
watched everything like the day it came out. But then some things I'm kind of like, I'm okay with a little bit of spoilers, like depending. Revenge of the Sith's my favorite movie. I can't remember the last time I watched it because it makes me so sad every time I watch it.
Yeah.
So I have to like pick out when I'm gonna watch it. Um, but yeah, like it means, I mean, community and just like and then obviously through cosplay, like a way to be creative and just yeah, meet new people. I think is community is the big one. I think
Yeah. And
so.
and you're in the Rebel Legion, which I
Yes,
know like yeah, I don't know what you had heard about like the Rebel Legion or the 501st Legion before you joined it. Like I haven't heard as much about the Rebel Legion, but I know here with the 501st like
I'm in
they're
the
oh
501st
yeah.
now too. So
Oh,
yeah,
Oh,
Kira is 501st.
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I always find it interesting the fights that go on with the different characters.
Yeah, it's interesting. Some of them are very obvious. Like Kira has a couple costumes that are Rebel Legion,
Huh?
and then a couple that are 501st. And I don't know where the distinction comes from, but
Yeah,
I I don't make those choices.
yeah,
And my
yeah.
Rebel Legion costumes are all very much a rebel, so it's
Yeah, and I guess by the time this video airs, I should hopefully have it and have debuted it. But season 3 Grief Karga is Rebel Legion. And I first, when I was like, I asked people in the 501st, I'm like, what would it be? And then they're like, check with the Bounty Hunters Guild. And they're like, yeah, the first 2 seasons, maybe the first season for sure. The third one is probably going to be Rebel Legion. I'm like, all
yeah.
right, I guess we're going over there because he's a bounty.
Royalty and senatorial.
Yeah. Which,
You're gonna be one of us.
yeah, Alicia has helped me a lot with this costume. And hopefully by the time it airs, I'll actually have pictures of me in it to post. But yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah, it's a good time. I gotta walk around regally.
Oh yeah, it's fun. You got a cape and every. Well, I guess with Vader you have a cape, but like we have an ongoing joke that Vader's like uh kind of royalty too.
I mean,
So
yeah, I mean, he does have the title Lord, so
no, it's because he married Padme.
that too. Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
we have like an ongoing. We have a friend. He bought one of the Galactic Senate shirts, and we had him. He was like, "Oh, what should I get printed on it?" And I think he ended up getting what was it, like Prince consort Anakin Amidala Skywalker or something ridiculous. And it's my new favorite, that or like king consort or something, and we are like, Anakin is a king consort
Because
because he's
Anakin
like
is very much a
he
male wife.
he married to a queen, or he married a
Yeah,
queen, but he's just the consort, you know?
yeah, yep. It'd be the whole. I don't know if you watch House of the Dragon.
Yeah,
Um,
like Damon.
yes,
It's
Damon,
just
exactly.
like Damon. Yeah.
Yep. He's like
100%.
it's King consort.
Consort.
And
100%.
that what was the governor's name? Bibbo for because he'd be
Mm,
I think it starts with a B. I think it's Bibbo. It's something. Whatever. The governor would be Simon Strong in that one. He'd be saying
yeah.
consort.
I'm gonna fail you on that. I'm really bad with some of the names, so I'm
Yeah,
gonna
no, I
fail you
think
on
I
that
think
one.
that's his name. The invasion guy. The guy that says it means one thing, invasion. Someone in the comments
Mm,
put what his name is.
someone will know.
Yeah, someone will know. And then call me a fake fan because I don't know it.
I have no idea either. Don't worry. Not off the top of my head.
So now let's get to some of your favorites. We're gonna start off with books. What is your favorite Star Wars book?
I'm sure it comes to no surprise to anyone, but I really like the Queen's Hands trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of controversial among the people that I've spoken to that have read the Padme trilogy. Uh, I really like Queen's Hope. It's the last one in the trilogy. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people prefer the other two. But I guess it depends. I blame it on the fact that I'm an Anakin stan and he appears in that one. Spoiler alert. But that book's been out for like 2 years, so
Mm-hmm.
um but he's in that one, and I think that kind of does it for me. It's also like it expands a lot on Padme's point of view of their marriage. And it's a
Mm-hmm.
pet peeve of mine when people are like, oh, like he convinced her to marry him and like blah blah. And I'm like, no. Like it's in the books. And
Yeah,
yeah,
like
I like that.
I don't understand that point of view, but maybe at least they're no longer blaming her for his fall to the dark side, which was definitely a Force.net thing. But I this isn't it's not a political marriage, right? It's not something where you have to convince someone to marry you at that point. Like they're both, I mean, more so him than her. I guess it could be used politically against her, but she was so popular that, but it's like they're both putting their careers, for lack of a better term, for Anakin at risk.
Well, when she got pregnant, like that was like before she died, she was like, "This is it. Like the
Yeah,
queen's not going to let me serve anymore. So, like, what do you want to do?"
yeah. I need,
Um,
I need like when they do get to that fact paw, I need either like Bale's point of view or some random senator that's just like, huh, Senator Amidala is pregnant. Who did that? And they just like
it
go on.
exists. It
It does.
exists. Somebody, I don't remember what it's in, um, but she says like something about like I wanted a child, so I acquired one or something like
Mm,
that. But IVF is really common on Naboo, like
mm-hmm.
IVF, because a lot of women want children but don't want to get married.
Yeah. Okay. Like, was that
Naboo's
her
really
sister?
progressive.
Was that her
Yeah,
sister that did that?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think they never mention her having a husband. I don't think so. It's like
Yeah.
it's really common. Naboo's pretty progressive that way. So like I think while like the galaxy kind of a bunch of people were like, "Who's the daddy?" She was like, she didn't really need an explanation for it, and that she could be like, "I wanted children, so I
Oh,
just did it."
yeah. That makes sense. Okay.
Of course, there was like people kind of knew.
Yeah. It was
Like
kind of the worst. It
people
was
were
kind of
kind
the
of
worst
like
kept secret.
Senator Amidala and her close friend, like
Yeah.
General Skywalker, like
I
they
remember.
friends,
Yeah.
but
Oh, yeah. They were friends,
roommates. They were
roommates.
friends. Yeah.
I remember there's this comic in Legends, and it takes place like 6 months before Revenge of the Sith. And at this point, Asajj Ventress had died. Anakin had
Mhm.
killed her, but
Yeah.
Obi-Wan was convinced she was alive. So he's like using his leave time from the war to go search for her. And so Anakin's also on leave. And Obi-Wan lands on Naboo, and Anakin and Padme are together. And I think
Yeah.
Padme's like, I guess our secret's out. And then Anakin was like, Obi-Wan, how'd you know how to find me here? And Obi-Wan's just like, every Padawan on Coruscant knows where to find you.
Yeah.
It was like the worst kept secret. So it's just like,
And when he was
no.
on like retreat or whatever,
Yeah.
and then that's where Padme got pregnant.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like
Exactly. You know,
they did not hide it well
no,
at
not
all.
worst kept secret.
No, it wasn't even a secret, I don't think. It was like information.
Yeah.
Like in Game of Thrones, what in season 8, what Varys says about Jon Snow's secret. It's like, well,
Oh,
it's not a
yeah.
secret anymore. It's information.
I wonder if someone ever brought it to Palpatine and Palpatine was just like, you don't say anything, just to be like, I need to use this to my advantage. Because if it's
I
out,
don't
if
think
it's like,
Palpatine would give a shit anyways. Like
well, I
even if
think
it was a secret and he wasn't a Sith Lord, like who cares?
Well, I think, him being the Sith Lord and wanting to manipulate Anakin, like if it's out there in the public and everybody's accepting of it, then he can't use it to manipulate Anakin.
Yeah.
So it's just
Yeah.
like one more arrow in his quiver that he's just like wants to be like, oh, well, yeah, what if she's dying, Anakin? Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think like to be honest, I don't even think it was as great of a like weapon against Anakin as far as like keeping the secret goes
hmm.
and him getting in trouble with the Jedi, because you're gonna have to put a spoiler warning for Queen's Hope in here because I'm still
It's been
talking
2
about
years.
it. Okay, but in the book she talks about they had a conversation about the fact that they both wanted children, like that
Hmm.
they both wanted a family. That was something they both wanted, and so they never discussed what he would do. But I feel like at that point it's kind of like he wasn't gonna, I don't think he was planning on staying in the Jedi Order forever if that was his goal. Unless, I mean, at the same time he's kind of crazy, so maybe he thought like he could do both somehow, but I
Yeah.
don't know. Like
I,
like Anakin in Attack of the Clones and Anakin in Revenge of the Sith are two fairly different people in turn. Like Padawan Anakin might look at it and be like, yeah, I'll leave, but Revenge of the Sith Anakin, I don't know. He was very much kind of, he wanted both, so
yeah. And I
hard to
think
say.
and I wonder also, if you put that with Ahsoka being there, and like let's say Ahsoka comes back to Coruscant, and her and Anakin have that conversation, and like whether she chooses to come back to the Jedi Order might give him the, I don't know, not the catharsis, but like it might prompt him to like, okay, maybe I'll stay because I'll have someone else here to support me. Or maybe
Yeah.
that would cause him to go because he's like, if I ever need something from the Jedi, I have Obi-Wan and Ahsoka there.
Yeah, I think he honestly might have been more likely to leave if Ahsoka had come back.
Yeah.
But I think more for the fact that, like, first of all, I think if Padme asked him to leave, he probably would have.
Mm-hmm.
But she was too, they were both too, like, big on duty and stuff, but she was
Mm-hmm.
definitely bigger on duty than he was. So I think if
Yeah.
she really was like, I want, like, before
Mm-hmm.
Mustafar was like, I want you to leave, I want you to, you know, stay with me, I think he probably would have.
Yeah, especially after she had the baby, because from obviously, like our actual parents will say one thing, but given my friends that are around our age having kids, like, yeah, if she would have said that, he would have left.
Oh, I think so. And I think that I don't think he would have not wanted to be a part of his kid's life anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Say, like, whatever you feel about Anakin, like, he wasn't, I don't think he was like that. I think if he knew Luke and Leia were alive too, he would have gone to the ends of the galaxy to find them, whether
Mm-hmm.
that means good things or not, because he was Vader by that point. But
Yeah, I,
um
I did
yeah.
always find it interesting that he asks about where is Padme, it but he never asked where is the child.
Yeah.
And I feel like that might have been, and I can't remember whether that's addressed in the Revenge of the Sith novelization.
I can't
um
remember either.
yeah, but it just makes me think, because as soon as he hears the name Skywalker, he goes searching, and they've
Yeah.
shown that in the comics, and it's just like at that point he's like, okay, not that Palpatine lied to me about this. It's okay. I want my child to rule with me. It's like, Anakin, use that brain cell. Use that one brain cell. It's dying for you to use it.
I think the only explanation that I could possibly have for that was that he didn't know she was in labor.
Yeah.
So Padme in his mind, Padme and the baby are still
Mm-hmm.
one entity, right?
Yeah.
Because he didn't know she gave birth. So he was just like, where's Padme? She's
Mm-hmm.
pregnant. So where's my child? That's the only thing I can think of. But
Yeah.
I mean, I alternatively, I guess you could think like you could bring up the discussion of, like, I mean, I've talked to Max about it, but, like, I think it's different for some men depending on if the baby's born or not. Like, the connection they have with their partner is different
Mm-hmm.
than the connection they have with the baby, versus a lot of, like, my sister was like, saved the baby, whatever, when she was pregnant, but would her husband have felt the
Mm-hmm.
same? I don't know. It's a really intense discussion that
It,
probably nobody wants to have.
yeah, but I think uh, like being in a relationship myself, it's a very important conversation to have.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and on on a different note, and I think this is just George being George. What do you mean they didn't know they were having twins in a galaxy far, far away with all the technology they have? You tell me that Padme didn't go to the OBGYN and was just like, the baby healthy? You mean babies?
What I want to know is how that pregnancy happened in the first place, Chris. How, like, they were trying then,
Yeah.
because they have medication, like, in the Padme trilogy, they talk about
Mm-hmm.
how they have, like, meds they can take to, like, stop your period.
Mm-hmm.
So they have birth control.
Yeah.
So they were not not trying.
Oh yeah.
So this isn't a surprise. This, they know how it works. And
The twin should have been the surprise to Anakin. Like it should
but
have
it
been
still should
like,
have been a surprise.
well, no, the fact that it was twins, it should have been like, I'm pregnant. He's like, yes, and then it's like it's twins. Then it's like, oh, that should have been like the shock, not
Did
like.
she just not go to see a doctor or anything then? Like,
I feel like someone in her circle, whether it would have been Panaka or whether it would have been who's her handmaiden at that point, Modet? No,
I think it's Dorme still.
yeah, Dorme would have said, hey, we go see a doctor about it, especially when they go back to Naboo. Just be like, if you don't want to do it on Coruscant because it's going to become political theater, go back to Naboo. I don't know.
I that's a big question I've always had. Also, the like in the Revenge of the Sith novel, I really like the way they write Anakin finding out, because like he knew there was something different.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was such an important thing to read, and then it not being in the movie, it makes me so sad, because like he comes home and he, like, in the movie he's just like, what's wrong, like why are you scared?
You're
But in
trembling.
the book he's like, I hate that line, Loki. I really don't like that line. It's so stupid. But like in the book he's like, there's something wrong with you. Like, what's wrong with you? Are you cheating on me? And she's like, no,
Yeah.
I'm pregnant. And he's like, oh, cool. Okay.
See,
Like,
that's
you can
why.
feel it.
Yeah, and see, and that's why in my Revenge of the Sith fic that will remain unfinished, even though I have 2 other chapters written, then I'm just like, it's fine. It's been 2 years. I have him like, use the Force to like, because she's just like, well, why don't you use the Force to check if the baby's okay? And he's like, oh, and then he does it, and he's like, twins, and then I'm just like, because that's always, it just bothers me. He's like, you
It's
should know.
annoying.
You should know you have twins.
Like, wow, there's more than one like life force in here. Huh.
Especially if
A
she's close
concept.
enough that, granted, everyone argues about what the timeline is for the Revenge of the Sith movie, but if she is close enough to be for the babies to be viable, and they look relatively fully formed when she has them, like,
Well, those are not fucking newborn babies.
well,
I
yeah,
would guess she was between 7 to 8 months, because twins are usually born 4 weeks early.
yeah. So
A couple weeks before then, like, they never, obviously the babies in the movie aren't going to be newborn because they can't do that.
right.
But like, there's her pregnancy is very George Lucas. I'm just going to leave it at that. She does not look pregnant with twins. She doesn't look full-term pregnant at all.
She was running
the way she runs, like she was not, like, it's just, I mean, and Natalie's small. Like, my sister is a little smaller than me, and like when she was pregnant with her first, she was not huge, but she wasn't running.
Yeah.
Like, and some people maybe, but with twins, I don't know. Like,
yeah,
it's probably more unrealistic than realistic.
yeah. So I'm
you
just,
know what? If you can run, if you're still running that far along, I'm really proud of you. I'm proud of you if you're not running too. But
I mean,
I'm just
we
proud of people who are pregnant, because that's hard work.
we already knew Padme was the strongest woman in the galaxy, given how she, jumped off that tower and landed on the that bull thing in Attack of the Clones. But like all that force, like she's the strongest woman in the galaxy. We know that. Without the force, she did it. So I mean,
yeah, it's I don't know. Maybe it was like their force sensitivity that was like making her extra strong. I don't know.
Yeah, I also wonder about that too, like how that works. Just because, especially, well, one, in a normal situation, let alone with the Skywalker blood, but just does
Don't give
she?
Anakin that much credit. Oh.
Well, it's not as much him as it's like, because I feel like if that's gonna be a thing where the mother, especially since it's midichlorians and you have the placenta and everything, like if you have someone that can have the door to the force open even just a little bit, with that pregnancy and the baby's already having a natural inclination towards something like that, how does that affect her? you know
Yeah.
like maybe she's able to sense things, and while she might credit it to just her intuition, it's the force being able to speak to her more because of that symbiotic relationship between her and the babies.
It's hard to say because in the movie, like, she doesn't really, there's no hints to it or anything, I don't
Yeah.
think, but it is interesting to think about.
Yeah, that's where you get a whole panel discussion on that with
Yeah, we
people
could
that
have a
actually
whole
know.
podcast about this stuff alone with
Yes.
other people.
Oh,
Damn.
absolutely. uh but well, I feel like we already know one of your favorite characters from Star Wars, but just in
Take
case
a
you want to
guess.
surprise us, what are three of your
Okay, actually, this is a fun question. Who do you think my favorite Star Wars character is?
Sabe?
No, for real, who?
Sabe.
I do love Sabe, but she's not my favorite.
Oh, is she not?
No.
Huh. I think your first cosplay was Anakin, if I
It
remember correctly.
was.
So
You're
is it
right.
Anakin?
Anakin is my favorite.
Okay.
Yes. I always throw people for a loop with that one because they're like, it's Padme. And I'm like, no, it's Anakin.
See, I
I
was gonna go
cosplay
with
Padme because I
Sabe
love
first.
Anakin.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's a very fair one. So I guess we got Anakin as one, Padme as
Padme.
another.
I think I flip flop between like third favorites.
Hmm.
I think it's probably Obi-Wan usually. Really love Obi-Wan. Sabe's great.
We
Sabe's a
love
bit more
Sabe.
of a like favorite minor character though.
I'm out here in the streets fighting for Sabe to tell Luke and Padme about their mother. We got teased in the Darth Vader comics with Sabe meeting Luke and saying you know, uh, like you're like your mother, and I'm like, ah. And he's like, what are you talking about? And she's just like, anyway, and I'm like,
I think there's one where she like sees Leia or something.
it's in the epilogue of Darth Vader number 50.
Yeah.
And she is pretty much like what she does with both twins is tempt them with because she's like, you have that Anakin in you, so she's like tempting them with power. And well, for Leia, she's tempting her with power. With Luke, she's tempting him with his anger. Like, are you like your dad? I'm going to be susceptible to your anger and become a Sith, because if so, I got to take you out now.
Yeah.
But with both, obviously they both pass her test. And the last image is I'll see if I can find it, but it's just is everything is she all right? And it's like she's perfect, and you see her
Yeah,
and
that's the
then
one I'm
Leia,
thinking
and
of.
I'm just like, just make it like a one comic special, right? Like an extra size issue where she sits down with both of them and tells them about their mother.
Leia, I think, knows a bit about Padme. Like,
Yeah,
I know, like, Bale told her about Padme.
yeah.
They both were told about like the opposite parent.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Luke was lied to about Anakin, but like, like Leia actually kind of knew about Padme, and that's why in like the Leia, like, well, Obi-Wan. Sorry, in my head it's like the Leia show because it's more about Leia, but um, it was very like when she was asking about her parents and she actually kind of questioned more about Padme. I was like, finally.
Mm-hmm. I
They
just wish
still didn't talk about her enough, but
I wish you would even have said her name, even if it's not
yeah.
like you tell Leia, you say it to Bale, you say it to Anakin. You're just saying is this what Padme would have wanted for you? And then you could have Anakin respond in anger, just you don't get to say her name or something,
Yeah.
because I don't think at that point he had seen that she had lived long enough to tell Obi-Wan like there's good in him. I think that doesn't come until like a little bit before A New Hope, or no wait, a little bit after New Hope.
Yeah.
But you know, what they'll say her name in live action at some point, maybe in Ahsoka season 2. Give us a flashback,
Maybe.
you know, of you bring in Natalie, you bring in Hayden, and you have Arya Greenblatt, and then you just have, you know, like just recreate that scene where Padme gives Ahsoka a hug that everybody knows. Like, this is something. Give us something, or
Or
maybe like
even just like closure of some kind, like have him like mention that he's like with her again or something like that, just to
yeah,
put that to bed. I just need to know, like, because there's like a like I've seen people post about how like really sad, they're sad that, you know, Anakin will never be reunited with her, and I'm like, no, like I'm pretty sure George Lucas said that he was
mm-hmm.
in an interview, because like, you know, when you die, like you like they could still be reunited. I need to
Yeah.
know. I need this, please.
So in my Revenge of the Sith fic, how it was going to end, there was going to be an epilogue where it's going to be like in the you know future where like Padme had lived, you know, like a full life, and so it's going to be like a little bit before the well, maybe about like 10, 15 years before the sequel era. So I was going to like throw in everybody's favorites from the sequels as like little kids listening to Luke and Leia tell the story of like their, you know, their father. And then, you know, Padme was going to be like older, and, you know, she was like going to go into her back. It was very Hamilton esque. So, you know, Padme was going to be like ready to, you know, like die. And so then Anakin comes in as a Force ghost and asks her, is she ready? And then she's going to take his hand, and then because he's the chosen one, he like makes her a Force ghost, and then they just sort of go into the cosmic force together.
Yeah, like I feel like they're together. I maybe just need that for my own peace of mind, but I
Yeah,
think they're together.
yeah, you know, if Obi-Wan and Yoda can kind of like rapture Anakin so he can become a Force ghost, Anakin, as you know, the chosen one, can reach into the cosmic force and just be like, he needs to apologize to her. He needs to just pull it back, and just his first words be, I'm sorry, you know?
I still think she probably would have punched him first, but
Oh, absolutely.
I hope.
And then pulling her also pulls in Sabe, and then Sabe clocks someone, you know? Well, actually, no, Sabe would be still alive at that point, I hope. So,
Sabe, I don't think should. Sabe can't ever see that man again.
I mean, they had quite an adventure during the original trilogy or
Oh,
original trilogy era.
they had an adventure before them. They had an
Yeah.
adventure when Padme was still alive. Queen's Hope again. I'm just
Yes.
gonna keep plugging that book. Read
Oh,
it.
yeah, definitely read the Queen's trilogy. I mean, my personal favorite is Queen Shadow because I just love
Queen's Shadow is
um
really good.
the aspect that it gives us, the point of view outside of what we see in the Phantom Menace. But yeah, they're all fantastic.
Her transition between Queen and Senator too is like, it's so good. Like just seeing that, like that point where Padme is not so sure of herself.
Mm-hmm.
That those books are so pivotal to her like understanding of her character, and I feel like a lot of people really do not understand her character. Most people don't even know how old she is, to be
Yeah.
fair, based off of things that I've seen in my comment section. They don't
Yeah.
understand that she's a child in the
Mm-hmm.
Phantom Menace and like barely an adult in, like, when she becomes a senator, she's like 18 years old.
Yeah.
And then in Attack of the Clones, she's like early 20s.
Yeah.
So, and Anakin's like 19, 18.
Mm-hmm. 19. Yep.
So they're babies. Like they're younger than, like they're younger than me, and I'm still not used to being older than her in Attack of the Clones, because when I first started cosplaying her, I was like her age. But
Yeah, I was talking to Nerdy Hands Hannah about this, about like age, and I'm like, you know what? I feel good about myself because I'm not at Lando's age yet in Empire Strikes Back. I still got over a decade, so I'm good.
Yep. Yeah. It's
But
fine. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's just like it was one little like I never feel weird about my age in terms of like cosplaying. Even when I cosplay her in the Phantom Menace, I think I'm like it's 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 something to be aware of, I think.
mhm,
And there's been a lot of conversation about cosplaying minor characters like within the cosplay community, especially recently. I don't know if something different came out recently
yeah,
but it comes up every once in a while. And I think it's something to be aware of
mhm,
and how you portray that character for sure.
yeah,
But like I still don't feel weird doing it necessarily.
yeah.
I thought I would, but then I was like,
Yeah, and it's kind of the thing you think about like Disney, right? Where you have the princesses, and these are clearly adults that are doing it, but
yeah,
most all the princesses are really in that 14 to 16-year-old range.
yeah, like
So just
technically.
yeah, so it's kind of just like it is what it is.
Mhm.
But because you don't necessarily want to put kids in that situation, having to deal with that in the public, like adults may be better equipped to handle it.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
but yeah, it's an important conversation, I think, too.
Well, and to be fair, the point of which I talk about in Queen's Peril, the point of the Queen makeup is to make her look older.
Yeah,
The whole point of the way that the Queen of Naboo is portrayed is meant to make her look older. So
yeah,
I guess people not knowing the age is it means it did its job, but it's an easy Google.
yeah, very easy. But people don't like to research things from time
No,
to time if it doesn't fit their narrative.
it's true.
Uh, what is your favorite Star Wars quote?
Hmm. The easy answer is this is how liberty dies with thunderous applause.
Hmm.
Um, the wrong answer is I hate sand.
It's coarse, it's rough, it's irritating, and it gets
It's
everywhere.
everywhere. Yeah, probably the celebrity dies, mostly just because I think that that's like the one that's most associated with me by this point.
Hmm.
Like that's the one people have said to me a lot. So I think it's just I grew very fond of it.
And
I've got a bad feeling about this is another classic.
I know you have some bad feelings about, or some interesting feelings about your Dies dress, but having seen it in person, granted through the lens of Vader, it is phenomenal.
I'm gonna remake it. But I do have plans for the current one. I think I'm gonna make it into the Clone Wars one. I'm not gonna completely trash it.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, it's not gonna just be gone, but it's gonna be a little revamped.
Yeah, we love a good revamp.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we try to. I
you
don't know.
succeed. You
I don't know when it's
succeed.
gonna happen, but I'm on a big remaking train this year, and I think it's gonna extend into next year.
Yeah. Well,
So
who doesn't go through their closet and give it a little upgrade?
yeah, exactly.
What is your favorite musical piece from Star Wars?
Battle of the Heroes. That
Classic.
one's easy. Max and I were actually talking about this the other day.
It's a classic.
Yeah, it's so good. I mean, the whole Star Wars soundtrack is phenomenal. There's so many things that I love in that soundtrack, but that one is just it hits so hard.
Oh yeah, and uh, you know, I remember being in the theater listening to that for the first time, and just it's like an out of body experience when you have that, and like it was the soundtrack for the original Battlefront 2 game. When you got to the menu, it was like Battle of the Heroes, and it's just like. Yeah, I know I'm here to play the game, and especially as a kid, like I know I only have a limited amount of time to play video games right now, but I just want to sit and listen to this. Just let
Yeah.
the menu cycle a few times.
Oh yeah, it's a good one. And that duel, it's the best one. In my opinion, that is the best lightsaber duel we've got in Star Wars so far.
I just want to see what more was gonna be in that duel because they said there was more, and I'm like, I want to see
There's
it.
like 3 hours of cut scenes from that movie or something like that. 2 hours or something. It's something crazy.
And I'm like,
It's
give it to me. and
Padme has
maybe
like 3 extra outfits in that movie that never show up in that movie.
yeah, okay. Well, if we're going to talk about what doesn't show up in that movie for Padme, the
There's a lot.
delegation of 2000 scenes are phenomenal, and
You know, when she like basically starts the rebellion.
exactly. And I know we're going to get some of it in Alexander Freed's book that's coming out in February, where it's talking about like the immediate moments afterwards, and it's going to focus on Bale and Mon. But I'm like, I hope we get some. I hope we get those scenes canonized through those books. Like,
Yeah,
put it
I need it.
in there. Like, you could. I don't know if like they own it, but I don't know if there's something in there with George where you can't use that bar for bar. But like, if you can, do it.
They did Padme dirty with some of her cutscenes, like not just in Revenge of the Sith, but in the
Attack of
Attack
the
of the Clones
Clones.
one where they cut her family scene out.
Mm-hmm.
Like just making her more of a person.
Yeah.
Like she has a family, like anyways, don't get me started on that. This is
Yeah.
a whole other podcast.
I mean, at this point, like, unless your contract with George says you can't, spend the money,
Please.
make those deleted scenes, like, zhuzh them up and re-release them. You could re-release them in theaters. You're gonna make
I
some
need
bank.
it. I need it.
Like, obviously, I don't know how much numbers the Phantom Menace re-release did for the 25th anniversary, but I gotta imagine that it made enough to justify it, and then you can justify doing the other ones. Just add the scenes in there.
Revenge of the Sith 20 years is next year.
Yeah,
It's gonna
yeah.
be crazy.
Mm-hmm. Do have the orchestras do the Revenge of the Sith film. You throw it up on the screen, have them play it. You're just gonna sell out concert after concert
Oh,
after concert.
I'd see that multiple times. Are you kidding
Oh,
me?
absolutely, absolutely. Like I would just sit there. I was like,
I'd
y'all,
troop it and then I'd watch it. And then I'd
yeah,
watch it again.
yeah. They'd be like, oh god, you guys can leave now. I'm like, I'll stand here in Vader for 3 hours to watch this.
Mm-hmm. For
Absolutely.
sure. Easy.
It's just not a doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
So my surprise mystery box question for you is also going to be one that could probably start another podcast. But
Oh no.
so we love Padme. We love the Queen.
Mm-hmm.
If you could, and this could be a silly story. This could be a novel. This could be a scene. If you could insert another Padme moment into Star Wars, where would it be? What would it be?
In like existing Star Wars, like I
Mm-hmm.
can't tell you that they would live happily ever after and raise their children together.
Unfortunately, no.
Okay. Damn, this is a hard question, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't make Star Wars R-rated either.
I mean, you could. I'm not going to say no. This is an
I
adult
won't.
podcast. This is an
I
adult
won't.
podcast.
But I won't. I really don't know. Like, I think more with her handmaidens would be like an easy ad. And it's already in the books, but I feel like a bit more in the movies, like I would bring some of that over and talk about the handmaidens a little bit more because they're really important to her.
Yeah.
And I feel like it kind of seems like in Revenge of the Sith, it's very much like Padme has Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
And then for him, like he has Ahsoka and he has Obi-Wan and he has Padme, but like Padme has a lot of friends.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who really care about her. And I feel like I would love to see more about the people that she's close to other than Anakin in the movies.
Yeah.
Does that make it's not a specific
No,
thing,
but
but
it makes sense. It personalizes her more.
because I think that some people I've even heard be like confused, like, why would Bale just adopt Padme's kid?
Yeah.
But like, they were really close. Like,
Yeah.
they were really, really close.
I'm sure he looked at her like a daughter.
Yeah,
Given
like
their age
he
difference,
really,
or at
like
least a little cousin.
they were really close, and like it's not that surprising that Bale would be like, yeah. It's more surprising that they sent Luke to these people they didn't even know.
Yeah.
Like, really. Yeah, it was his family, and they were great, don't get me wrong, like, for raising him, but like Bale knew her
Yeah.
really well.
And they could have raised
So,
both with the same amount of suspicion that they had for just having Leia.
yeah. And I get why they did it. A little bit. Like, sometimes I'm kind of like, okay, it's weird, but
And then
yeah, I would like to see more for Padme in terms of like what her as a person and what she was in her life, rather than, and like, I guess we see it a little in the Clone Wars, but like a lot of people don't watch the cartoons, so
yeah, which they should.
Yeah, or even just more of just her sister and her parents, and because they have them in the funeral procession, and you're just kind of like, who are these people that are sad?
Yeah,
but like they're her family.
Yeah, it's like, oh, so there's this random little girl, there's these random adults. Hey, that's Boss Nass. Hey, it's Jar Jar, and that's about it.
Yeah, exactly. But these are like probably the most important people in her life.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Anakin's important, but this is her family. So, yeah, it's weird. That one's weird to me. They should have more about her family.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially since you can have the cousins meet now. You can do those stories in books and comics where you have Padme's nieces meet their cousins.
They were young still.
Yeah, they did in Legends, so they're only going to be like 6-7 years older. But
yeah, they were young, so it would be really cool. Yeah. That would be great. Yeah, add that. That's what I want to see.
Add the cousins meeting.
Add the cousins meeting. Yeah. That'd be cute.
It would be. Well, thanks for coming on. I really enjoyed this. This is a great episode.
Thanks for having me. I hope it was a little entertaining.
Oh, this is fantastic.
Okay, good.
Before we go, let the people know where they can find you and your awesome content.
You can find me on mostly Instagram, I guess, now at The.Naboo.Senator. That's it.
Yes. And
I have a TikTok, but I don't use it.
So follow Alicia on Instagram. And see her just whip out Padme cosplay after Padme cosplay after banger after banger after banger.
Barbie first.
Barbie first.
Don't let that throw you off.
She still got all the Padme cosplays. You'll see
Padme at heart.
Yeah.
But I got to switch it up. I have to do something that I don't have to worry about accuracy as much.
I get it.
And it's already causing me like trouble. I'm already like, oh, did I buy the right sound? And I'm like, it was 50% off. You're going to be okay with it.
Thank you again. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you go to Alicia's Instagram page. Show her some love. And until next time, remember, there are more of us.